Hey everybody, Pejman Ghadimi here, founder of Exotic Car Hacks. Now you are sitting right here in my personal garage with some of my most exquisite cars that are part of my collection. Now there's still quite a few cars missing here. This is where I keep most of the sports cars, and I have a ton of other cars like Ursas and G-Wagons and things like that. But the cars here are my more special and exciting cars. But you know, one of the things I get a lot when people want to join Exotic Car Hacks is, well, this is great. I mean, I'm looking at $800,000, $3 million cars, $1 million cars. Well, what about me, PJ? What if I want to get started today? Do I have to be buying a $500,000 car? What if I can't get to this level right away? So today what I've decided to do to kind of ease your mind into Exotic Car Hacks, that Exotic Car Hacks certainly doesn't have to be about really expensive exotics. And it's not even about getting allocations for really rare exotics and obviously making money with them. Instead, Exotic Car Hacks really focuses on the finance principles that enable normal day-to-day people to afford cars that they didn't previously think they could afford because they thought they had to work a long amount of hours and years to accumulate enough wealth to be in a position to actually buy one of these cars. And the reality is it couldn't be further from the truth. You see, if you followed me for the last 10 plus years where I've been teaching online, that's right, it's been that long, so you're probably annoyed of seeing my ads, but by now you see that I'm not going anywhere because I really believe in what I do and I continue to do it throughout the years. But if you've been following me for a while, then you noticed that back then, when I first started teaching online, I myself was teaching with much more entry-level basic exotics like Audi R8s, Lamborghini Gallardos, Mercedes AMGs, and cars that everyday people today could certainly be affording, but in their minds believe they cannot. And so today I decided to break down for you 5 incredible startup exotics that any single person with a 650 credit score and some type of income, at least like 60, 70,000 a year, could be buying. Now, all 5 of these cars are under $100,000. All 5 of these cars have completely depreciated and are incredibly reliable to own. And I'm going to cover not just the cars, but the years, the actual mileage you want to be buying, and more importantly, also what kind of options and things you're going to want to really push desirability to the highest level. So if you've ever thought of joining Exotic Car Hacks and kind of said, should I, could I, or maybe are they going to be cars that are relevant to me, you're really going to want to listen to what I have to say today on these 5 cars. So the first car we're going to start with is the Audi R8. Now you may have heard Audi just told us that they are discontinuing the R8 with its final beautiful 23 600 horsepower GT version. But you see, the R8 goes back all the way to 2008, and a lot of people don't know that. You could have bought a 2008 V8 for quite like 120 at the time, 130K MSRP. But believe it or not, the R8 V8 2008 to 2010 has depreciated very nicely, and today can be bought, you ready for this, for as little as $70,000. Now, you may see models online for 50, 60, but 70 grand is the sweet spot for a really nice 08 to 10 Audi R8 V8. Now, preferably if you can find yourself a 6-speed, you'll probably pay about $10,000 more and your investment will be safer. But finding the right 08, even R-tronic, with about 20,000 miles or so, will still be an incredibly reliable and exciting exotic to start your exotic car journey with. Now, it's a beautiful car, it's exciting looking, the driving's not as fast as some of these more modern cars, but it's still a very respected and beautiful exotic and can be bought for very little money. The second car, which may require a little bit more of maintenance, but you can still minimize that maintenance by buying the right year, is the Ferrari Modena 360. Now the Modena, very popular at its first inception, around $200,000, and now can be bought, you ready for this, as little as $60,000, that's right, but you don't want to be buying those cars. Instead, you want to find the right Modena. The right Modena will be a 2003 or a 2004 and will have an F1 gearbox. Now, I know you've probably heard horror stories about the F1 gearbox, but 03 and 04 were the best years for the gearbox. In addition to that, you can actually buy a very nice, low mileage, but still have at least 5-digit miles, like 10,000 miles or so, Modena Coupe, to mitigate the majority of your problems. Now, you don't want a 2,000 mile car because it hasn't been driven long enough, and you don't want a 30,000 mile car because it's probably going to need a lot of maintenance. The sweet spot on these cars is 10 to 15,000 miles and to exit by 20,000 miles, giving you 5,000 free miles of driving. In addition to that, the right 03, 04 could be bought, you ready for this, right under 100K, about $90,000. And yet one of the most iconic and beautiful designs that have ever come out of Italy on any exotic of any kind. Now, the next car we're going to look at for those of you that love Lamborghini, the Lamborghini Gallardo. Now, personally, I always recommend the LP560, which can be bought for about 110 to 120. But in this case, since we're looking at cars under 100, a 2006 to 2008 Lamborghini Gallardo 6-speed or automatic is an incredibly good exotic car to start with. Now, you want to make sure you have the clear engine bonnet, you want to make sure you have the Callisto wheels, and you want to make sure you have less than 20,000 miles on the car, giving you an opportunity to have a car that's been driven and is going to still drive great. Obviously, all of these cars you'll want to do an inspection on to ensure you're not caught with a car that has lots of repairs or damage, but the Gallardo, especially in those years, is one of the most reliable forms of the first generation Gallardo. You want to particularly avoid first generation 2004 and 2005 E-Gear cars that are plagued with issues, especially if they're very cheap. Expect to pay between 90 to 105,000 for the right 06 to 08 Gallardo with some miles on it. Now, the next car, the Aston Martin Vantage. You'll only want to take advantage of the Vantage if you like driving 6-speed transmissions. The Vantage 6-speed, which was originally launched, the right correct 6-speed, which was originally launched in 2009, was one of the best Vantages yet and one of the most affordable. Today, you could buy that car between $55,000 to about $70,000, and it is one of the most incredible Astons to drive. Now, you can buy all the way up to 15 Vantage GT 6-speed under $100,000, giving you, like for around $80,000, even more peace of mind by being a newer platform in 2015 rather than the older ones. Regardless of which you choose, the Vantage V8 is still one of the best and most balanced cars that has ever been put out on the market. And in addition to that, while it's not the fastest, it has been ranked as one of the most beautiful cars to ever grace the streets. So a lot of value for just $80,000, and it's been steady and stable, completely depreciated for the last 5 years. So you're not gonna see the same car you're buying for 80 grand suddenly turn into a 60 grand proposition. Last but not least, probably the more expensive and iconic of the bunch, the 911 Turbo. Many generations of the 911 Turbo can be hacked, and they can be hacked pretty easily. Anything from the 996 to the 997, even the 991s can be hacked depending on your budget, ranging all the way down from 50,000 all the way up to 130,000. The 911 Turbo is still one of the best and easiest cars to hack ever. Values have been steady, the car is as reliable as can be, and more important than anything else, it doesn't seem to change as time goes by, because more and more 911 buyers are born, and more importantly, more and more people are considering the 911 Turbo because it can be used as both a daily driver and a weekend car. Now, these are my 5 top easiest hacks to go after, especially if you're starting today. And just don't forget, at Exotic Car Hacks, we have all the resources necessary for you to know how to buy these cars, how to negotiate them, how to know which years to look at, and more important than anything else, I think the thing to consider is exactly how to go step by step through an inspection, even if you're in a different state or in a different place than where the car is, to ensure you don't get a lemon, a bad car, or ultimately have a terrible experience for your first exotic car. Now remember, Exotic Car Hacks is more about the mindset and finances required to be able to level yourself up from these cars onto the next cars and eventually into a garage like this, regardless that you have one car, multiple cars or not. I have been doing this since I was literally 20 years old, and it has paid off quite a bit, as you can see. So don't sleep on the opportunity to learn this incredible trade and take your mind from consumerism to investorism, and literally turn your mind from wasting money on day-to-day cars and buying the world's most beautiful cars without ever losing money again. Click the link anywhere on your screen to get more information or join Exotic Car Hacks.